Hey guys. So today, I thought I'd turn the camera on again and talk about Superdelegates, why I think Hillary lost Wisconsin, and why I think that she lost the election. So we all have this whole idea now that superdelegates are horrible, but it feels like the Democrats, since they lost the election, have decided to forget about the fact that that was the main reason, I think, why Hillary lost. Because it comes all down to this root problem of superdelegates. The GOP don't have superdelegates, and so their grassroots campaign was able to go and win the nomination. And grassroots campaigns are really powerful because they invigorate a populace, they invigorate a voter base. And so when you look at what happened with Bernie Sanders, I don't think that Hillary ever really had a chance. Because the only way to fight and win against a grassroots campaign is almost just to have a grassroots campaign of your own. With Bernie Sanders, if superdelegates weren't there, and I read a study that was talking about the pledge delegates and how if there were delegates that were reallocated to Bernie because of the fact that there was voter fraud, confirmed voter fraud in those specific states, he would have won the pledge delegate race. But superdelegates are a way for a party, for the Democratic Party, to keep control of their party and make sure it never evolves, because you have the ability to put in the politician that you guys wanted in, rather than the politician that the actual voting populace wanted in. So when you have a superdelegate situation like that, where Hillary was pretty much inserted automatically as the nominee, then you wonder, well, why didn't people unite behind her? And it's a combination of things. One of the main ones is, I think that Bernie voters had a really salty taste in their mouth with Hillary after that crazy primary race. But she lost Wisconsin. And people assumed that, and apparently including her, assumed that Wisconsin was going to be a blue state. Because, and you know she thought that because after she lost to Bernie in the primary, she lost to Bernie in the primaries in Wisconsin, and she never came back. She never showed her face in Wisconsin any more times during the rest of the election. So I really think that was a really big campaign error on their part, was to assume that a very heavy Bernie supporting state was just going to automatically be blue when it came time for the general election. And this brings me to that point of why I think she lost the election. You had the Democratic primaries where there were two very, very large voter bases for each candidate. It wasn't just, one side had a bunch. But Bernie and Hillary both had a very significant amount of popular votes supporting them. But if you think about this whole situation like a train, like trains, okay? Like a steam train. Trump's steam train has been gaining steam from the beginning, unimpeded, all the way to the end. It's just continuing to keep going. It's continuing to gain steam. Now imagine what can happen to the Democratic vote when you have this hard-fought primary with two trains, and then all of a sudden you have the train that was building the most steam, it gets stopped. They stop it completely, slap a Hillary sticker on it, and then say, hey, go catch up to that Trump train. That's not possible, because that train is already long gone. It's still gaining speed, and it's also got a huge amount of space that you have to catch up. So there's no way for it to catch up. So that's my opinion. I feel like what happened with the Democratic vote was the disenfranchisement of Bernie voters hurt the turnout that Hillary could have had. If it was Bernie, I firmly believe that if it was Bernie Sanders, it might have gone the other way, because his was a grassroots campaign. And like I said, grassroots campaigns have this vigor to them. They have an invigorated populace that are just ordinary people that support the message, not just, hey, this is our party platform, and, I think it's this person's turn to go, so we're going to nominate her. So that's what happens when you take a grassroots campaign and you stomp it into the ground and then tell it that it has to help out to beat that other grassroots campaign. Grassroots campaigns are some of the most powerful politics that exist when you have people that vote rather than parties that vote in a person that they like. So it's just a thing to think about, that grassroots campaigns meant a lot in this election, and we saw on both sides how the GOP doesn't have any protection against grassroots campaigns, so Trump had no problem going through and winning the pledged delegate race because there was nothing to be hung over his head like the superdelegates of the Democratic Party. But Bernie had the tall task of trying to convince states like Alaska, who had voted Bernie and Bernie won that state, but that state's superdelegate or superdelegates, I forget how many they had, were still going to be voting for Hillary. And I don't think that's fair. So I think that the Democratic Party, in the introspection that it needs to do over the next 4 years, I think that superdelegates need to be abolished. Because when you set a precedent that the votes that people are giving really don't matter because you're going to put in office who you want anyway, your party doesn't have any ability to evolve. Unless there's internal discussion on little things that they want to change. But a party should be evolving not by insiders deciding, oh, it's the right time to support gay marriage now. They should be decided by the populace and the people who vote Democrat saying, hey, this is the change that we want, and we're going to vote for it, whether you like it or not. That is how a party evolves. That is how a party stays alive. The Democratic Party cannot stay alive if it continues to have superdelegates. Think about it.